Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Newtown, Pennsylvania for HyzerMedia's coverage of version 31.24 of the YETTER, sponsored by BS Upshot and the Bucks County Disc Golf Alliance. We are headed to the back nine of the West course in round one. Brett is joining me in the booth again. What are we looking at here, Brett?
Hey, thanks, Mike. We got to see a really hot round from Zach at -7 through 9 there, and then Rick, Lance, and Jesse trying to make up some strokes. They're one over par. They'll look to turn it around here on the back. And we'll check in on the leaderboard through 9 holes. We see Zach at -7 at the top, but really closely followed by Justin Rosak and Curtis Taves at -6. And then we do see a lot of scores coming in under par. So still really a lot to play for as we get into the back 9 of the front round. And that'll take us to hole 28 where we're starting. It's a short 593-foot par 5. Eagle's certainly in play here. This did play as the second easiest hole in the course, averaging only about a half a stroke under par. And we'll have Lance here kind of starting us off here. And he's throwing a straight shot down the gap. It looks like he made some progress, and that's kind of all you're looking to do. To really kind of take the birdie here. The more aggressive shots for Eagle, you got to throw probably a little bit further than that.
We'll see Zach lining up the forehand, and that's not necessarily a placement shot because he can get quite some distance on his forehand. Unfortunately, it looked like he turned it over just a bit more than he wanted on the flex line and is off to the left side rough there.
Yeah, you have to be a little careful on the left side. There's an OB road over there. You have to go a lot further than what Zach did. He'll be safe, but he'll be in the rough, like you said. And Jesse having the opposite problem, kind of just turning that one over to the right. Unless he kicked out, he's going to be in some rough over there, having to come out and have a placement shot.
Yeah, that looked like a late release straight into that grouping of trees there. Definitely not what he wanted to start his back nine, as Rick sends a light hyzer up the fairway. Didn't look like he got a ton of distance on it, but should have something open for the second shot at least.
It looks like Jesse's going to at least have a gap on the right side and playing it on hyzer over to the left. It looks like he got out to the fairway, so probably a pretty good result, all things considered.
Yeah, kind of had to go up and over there and did a decent job of it. Anything in the fairway after that, I think he would have been okay with. And we see Rick with the step out forehand. And it's a really nice flex line. Gets himself a good few hundred feet up the fairway there.
Yeah, that's quality. Rick's going to be in really good position there to get his birdie. It looks like this might be Zach coming out of the left side rough with looked like an overhand. I didn't see that finish, but it looked like he got at least really far up the fairway.
Yeah, I definitely would have given a lot of praise to the cameraman there if he was able to capture that, because it started in the trees and it ended in the trees, and there were a lot of trees in between. So it was really hard to follow that one. As Lance with the step out backhand here, forcing it over, and looks like he put himself in the fairway there.
Yeah,
so nicely done.
Absolutely. Good golf shot, good positioning. We see Zach. Yeah, he's over here on the right side rough, looking to throw a forehand, get around the tree in the middle, skip shot, and back out on the fairway. So he should be able to get up and down from there. Good recovery shot.
Yeah, definitely just a position shot by Zach there. Didn't want to bite off too much and put himself at bigger risk for the bogey. So nicely done as Jesse fires one right up the middle, hitting his gap, putting himself in a nice position.
Yeah, and you'll see what Lance is left here. The basket's kind of right in the middle of those 3 trees. There is a hyzer gap off to the right. You have to be careful because there is left and right OB. You can see marked with some white sticks, and he's choosing to go actually straight at it. Fortunately connects with a tree, but he should be in the circle here. Yeah, it looks like about maybe 30 feet to what left on his putt. So kind of you can take that. Obviously, you want to be a little closer, but I think after the tree kick, you kind of settle for it.
And that approach forehand by Zach definitely came out a little higher than he intended, floated up into the foliage there and kicked him down with what looked to be a maybe short to mid C2 look at his par save.
Yeah, Zach's definitely going to be disappointed with his performance on this, one of the easier holes. And Rick, unfortunately, just kind of gets over on that one right into a tree. So he's going to have a little touchy, looks like backhand turnover upshot to get up and down.
And he does that pretty well. Puts himself maybe about 22 to 25 feet there. Probably would have liked to have been a little closer, but not too bad of a shot, all things considered.
And Jesse's got the basket framed up, but he's deep circle too. Gives it an honest bid, but really hard to kind of split that gap there to make it to the basket. He'll have a tap in at least.
And here's Zach. He's been putting well, but this is definitely a tough look at his par save. We'll see if he can keep his scorecard clean. And no, he just kind of bangs it off the top of the basket. Gets a bit of an unfortunate roll up the hill there. He's going to give himself a tough look at a bogey save.
Definitely not the way Zach wanted to start his back nine. We have Lance with a very solid putt. Good birdie. Great way to start his back and get him back to even par.
Yeah, Lance's putting's been a little hot and cold so far today. He started with a few short misses, but then he made some really good putts to the back end of the front nine. It looks like he's getting that on track as Zach does make a nice putt for his bogey save.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, he's going to lose some strokes here because there were two Eagles on the hole, and it was Curtis Taves and Justin Rosak. The guy's trying to track him down.
Yeah, you never really want a 3-stroke swing on one hole.
That's for sure. Oh, and Rick just pulled that off to the right. You know, he's usually a really good putter. He's struggling a little bit with his putts today.
I'm wondering if there's something a little off in his stroke, maybe. How he's maybe trying to change things, make that adjustment mid-round, because we saw, I believe, back on, might have been hole 6 or 7, he had that putt where he just airballed a 10-footer, and then there was another couple there that you'd expect him to be making from that range. So I'm wondering if he's just trying to kind of make an adjustment to his mechanics on the fly.
Yeah, hopefully he can clean that up moving forward. So we'll move on to hole 29, which is a 570-foot par 4. You want to throw your shot kind of to where the rocks are by the A pin to get over top of those, and then you're left with kind of a backhand, right-hand hyzer approach to the pin. Definitely plays as a more difficult par 4 on this course. And we see, looks like Lance kind of went with a forehand roller there. Looks like he's off to the right side rough, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely an interesting approach to go with the roller. Pretty much any of the holes on Yetter, not the most roller friendly, but he did catch the stump of that big tree and get pushed off as Jesse hits the gap nicely, hits a late tree and drops down, but I think it was pretty much at the end of its flight anyway, so he'll be fine with that.
Yeah, he'll be sort of in position where he might be able to get aggressive and trying to reach the green from there. We'll see Zach's drive here. See if he's looking to go big. Nice hyzer flip shot down the middle. Looked like it got through and it's past the A pin, and that's a great spot. He'll be able to get aggressive there and try and go for birdie.
Yeah, really nice drive from Zach following his first bogey of the day. Could always be a turning point in your round. See how you bounce back.
Yeah, looks like he was letting off a little steam from that bogey he had on the previous hole.
Definitely might have put a little something extra into that drive as we see Rick get the disc high up into the trees there. I'm sure that's not what he was intending. Looked like it made it through, but hyzered out to the left side. We'll see what he's left with.
Yeah, I mean, there could be some grip issues. I know it was really hot and humid today, and playing a long course, your hands are going to be wet. So, hopefully they're able to dry their hands off, use their chalk sack. It was definitely humid. And it looks like Lance kind of went with an overhand. I don't think he got too far down the fairway.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he might have got caught up there. We're going to see Rick with the forehand force over as well, but he gets into a better position, leaves himself with a real chance at saving par there.
So we'll see what Jesse might be lining up this left gap. There's a little bit of a cheater gap over here. You can split some trees. And he kind of pulled that to the right of the gap, unfortunately. He should be able to get up and down there, but definitely not within range for birdie.
Yeah, he might have had both gaps in his mind there because I agree with you. I think he was definitely aiming up the left side. and just ended up pulling it a little bit to the right, so he might have been kind of caught in between mentally. Zach pushes up there. He'll have a decently long look at the birdie. Should be a very easy par, but probably a longer birdie look than he would have liked after that tremendous drive.
Yeah, you really want to push up to that log at least. We see Lance here going a little bit long. He'll be nestled on that big tree, putting up at the basket. A little bit of scary putt with some rollaway potential, but at least he's probably well within the circle.
That's a really nice bounce and roll for Rick there. He would have been close regardless, but that put him on a good side of the hill. Should have a nice little 15-footer or so to cash in his par.
Let's see what Zach is left with here. Yeah, you're right. He did come up a little short, and unfortunately, that putt's a little low. Hopefully, that didn't roll. I think it's sat, so he should be able to tap in for par.
Jesse coming up the hill at it right at the base of that log. And in C2, as we see him doing a stepper, and unfortunately just never really gave it the height. That was low all the way out of the hand.
Yeah, it's a tough putt to commit to. There's a lot of rollaway potential when you're that far away. And unfortunately, Lance just kind of maybe pushed that off to the left, not able to connect there on his putt. So we're going to have some tap ins here.
Yeah, it's going to stay with Lance, but they should all pretty much be. I think we're going to see a tap in from Lance and then kind of a drop in from the rest because they're all kind of snuggled right up to the basket there.
Yeah, we went from the second easiest hole to the third hardest hole here, averaging 0.42 strokes over par. Only 2 birdies on the day. Max Leffler and Mike Marcinese. So shout out to them for birdieing a very difficult hole.
Yeah, definitely a tough one to get. Has some pretty thick rough on both sides, and then the green is certainly not one of the easier ones of the day, so good birdies from those guys.
All right, we'll move on to hole 30. 347-foot par 4. You got to throw up this really tight gap uphill. It's a little bit steeper than it looks on camera. As long as you can kind of place your shot close to the A pin, you'll have a chance of getting up and down. You don't need a ton of distance. You just need really good placement, being only 347 feet. Some of the harder throwers may actually try to reach the green, but we'll see what it looks like. Zach might just be going for placement there, and that was a really good shot. It definitely rolled on him a little bit, but I think he's still in a really good spot to get up and down for birdie.
Yeah, it was a good tree for Zach there. I think he forced that over a little more than he wanted, and it caught edge, and it looked like it was going to swing all the way back, but it hit that tree and sat right in the middle as Rick pushes up the left side. Probably not where he wants to be, but he'll have a look at a second shot.
Yeah, the left side's really dangerous on this hole because there's a lot of hillside and a lot of rough over there. You really want to get your disc kind of right, which is what it looks like Lance was doing here. And that's a really good shot. He bit off quite a bit of distance on the right side. He should be in really good position.
Yeah, really nice drive from Lance there. After a bit of a slow start, he's really picked it up over the last 6 or 7 holes. As Jesse also forces over the backhand, catches an early tree, but it looked like it kicked him down right in the middle, so he should be okay there. Going to be very tough to birdie, though. Probably just looking at a par.
So Rick actually kicked over to the other fairway where the short tee is. That's actually maybe a fortunate break because it does open up, and you can see he was able to get pretty far up there. He'll have a circle 2 look for birdie.
We'll see what Jesse can do here with the forehand. Looks like he got a pretty good throw out of it, but he did catch that late tree and drop down off to the side.
See, Zach's going to maybe go for a little flex forehand here. He's got it away, and it unfortunately hits a little tree, but it does get past it, and he should have a circle 1 bid for birdie there.
The way he's been putting today, I think he'll take that, even with that little bit of a catch on the tree. As Lance pushes up to about the same spot Zach ended up, it looked like.
Yeah, he came up a little short there with his jump putt, but should be in the circle, and Jesse will just pitch up there and take a tap in. So after all that, it looks like Rick is left with a circle 2 putt for birdie. Let's see if we can get this little run. Oh, just hyzering in front of the basket. Good bid there from Rick.
Almost managed to save himself the birdie there after a tough drive off the tee. And Zach's hits just about everything it could hit and doesn't go in as it kind of drops out the front. Wouldn't call it a spit out. He was definitely low out of the hand, but a bit of a tough break.
Oh, and Lance just got the nose down on that, so it really just kind of dropped out of the sky. And you can see he's kind of questioning, how quickly that dropped. We've all been there. Got to get a little more pop, I guess, on the disc to keep it in the air.
Jesse with a really nice par save after his initial shot.
So nobody able to collect the birdie on this hole, unfortunately. We'll have a few tap-ins here for par. So it looks like we have a par frame.
And let's take a look at our leaderboard through 12. Justin Rozak pulling away just a tiny bit at 9 down. Curtis Taves and Kyle Bedell at 7. Zach and Bo Lee at 6 down. Spreads out a little bit from podium places from there, but it's definitely still a lot of time left for people to make a move up the leaderboard.
Yeah, lots more to play here as we move on to hole 31, a 512-foot par 4. See, we have a tunnel gap right out the start off the tee here. You want to get your disc moving straight through the tunnel and then right to proceed up the hill towards the basket. Again, another 2-shot par 4 that you don't have to bite off a ton of distance on your first shot. And we'll see Zach here, Hyzer flip forehand. It looks like he's pured this. Oh, he just caught a tree there, maybe robbing him of a nice bounce, but he's in position there to try and get his birdie.
Yeah, you don't have to bite off a ton of distance, but that doesn't really mean anything to Zach, who has that power forehand, so he's going to bite it off anyway, as Rick catches some right side tree and fortunately drops down into the skinny fairway there.
Yeah, fortunate kick there. It's really thick rough on right and left. You really want to try and stay out of there if you can. And you can see here, Lance looks like he's gone up the middle. Great shot. Also pierced the gap. He's up there in the collecting area. Pitching, he'll be throwing uphill towards the right, looking to get his birdie.
We're going to see Jesse round out the drives here, trying to get some blue back on his scorecard as he throws a backhand force over. And unfortunately, he just turns over a little too much, and he's going to be sitting in the right side rough there, just short of the corner.
So we got a couple guys in position with Rick and Jesse trying to progress a little further out the fairway. Rick, just a really unforced air there, just kind of throwing it into that tree there on the left. So he's going to be out again, having to throw a forehand. He's just playing position golf here. So he'll be throwing up and down, just trying to save that bogey from there.
Yeah, Rick started the round pretty well. I think he birdied 3 of the first 4, but unfortunately the round has taken a bit of a turn for him since that point, as Jesse just pitches out into the fairway here.
And we come to Lance and Zach, hopefully trying to get their birdies here. And it looked like he made the corner, but he may have sawed it off a little bit into the right side rough. We'll see what he's got left for his putt.
Yeah, I think he hyzered out a little too far there. I think he took a little bit too skinny of a line. He'll probably be a little upset with that as Zach pitches up rather, to what looks like circle's edge-ish.
Yeah, the effort was decent. It was just hugging the right side a little too much, but at least he got pin high. And similar here from Jesse, he's going to be over on that right side looking for maybe about a 30-foot putt to save his par. And Rick will be pitching up here, and he'll have just a short putt there for his bogey.
And here is Lance putting out of the rough. He does have a look at the basket. Not sure what his arm motion looked like in there, how free it was, but he gave it a decent bid. It came up about 10 feet away or so. Should have a fairly easy par putt.
So it looks like Jesse's out next, so I guess Zach must be a little bit closer than him. Let's see if Jesse can save his par here. Solid putt. Good par save there from Jesse after being really out of position for most of the hole.
Yeah, a bit of a scramble hole the whole time for Jesse, like you said, but ended it on a good note with a very solid putt. hopefully give him a little momentum. And Zach finds a way to tuck his in the left side of the basket. Looks like it caught the smallest bit of chains and helped it stay in there.
Yeah, great birdie there from Zach, keeping pace with Justin. We'll have a couple of short par and bogey putt. So we're going to start to get to somewhat more open holes soon. We have a few more wooded holes to play on the west. Kind of similar, a lot of tunnel shots, a lot of placements, a lot of long par fours and par fives. So we'll see how it plays out. Now moving on to hole 32. This is a downhill 318-foot par 3. You'll see that the basket is very guarded there, right behind a tree. So you really want to just throw a lot of these players are probably going to be throwing a flippy putter or mid. Just on hyzer with a slight flip just to kind of ride that hillside all the way down. You can see it's exactly what Zach is doing here. And look at this. It just slides up. Really great ground play past those two trees, and he'll have a circle one look for another birdie.
Yeah, you can't really do it a whole lot better than that. We'll see if Lance can follow that line. Looks pretty good out of the hand.
Absolutely.
See if he can skip through the middle, and it does actually a little bit too good as he skips maybe 40 feet or so past the basket. Great line, just a little too much ground play.
Yeah, I think he must have been throwing a real stable disc there for it to slide as fast as that did. We'll see Jesse. It's low, unfortunately off to the left, maybe a little early release, and he's probably kicked into the rough, so he'll have to scramble to save his par.
Right with a little stop start here. See how he can do on the reset. Looks pretty good. If it'll skirt by the left side of that tree, it does. We'll see it come down the hill here. And it looked, yeah, it was behind that tree, maybe about 20 feet or so from the basket, but he might be a little tucked for that putt.
Yeah, good attempt by Rick. And Jesse's just kind of, unfortunately, in a really bad spot, but he makes a really good effort there. We'll see if he has to maybe kind of straddle around to save that par putt. Hopefully he'll have a look.
Lance with a good run at it. Comes up just a bit to the left.
And you can see Rick's going to have to full on stretch out here, maybe putting with something a little stable or on hyzer. And, oh, the basket gave it two chances to catch. One on the initial putt and then falling down and almost going in. But unfortunately, he's going to have to settle for par.
And that is a very good par save from Jesse. I feel like we've said that a couple times for him today. Like you said, that previous shot was in a real tough spot. He was able to do enough to give himself a look, and he cashes in on it. So good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you take that par when you can, when you have to scramble like that. And we see Zach here. He's got not much left here for another birdie. An uncharacteristic miss there from Zach, and he's got a similar length comebacker here. That's really unfortunate because he's been putting pretty much lights out this entire round. But he's able to make the comebacker, take the par, forget about that one and move on. Those putts happen.
Yeah, we'll see how he bounces back from that, but it's definitely a tough one to take. I mean, that's one he's been making all day. Shouldn't really be a problem for someone of his skill level. And we'll have to see, how the tournament ends up, if that one stroke ends up mattering.
Yeah, lucky for Zach, he's got plenty of time to make up for that. So no birdies, everybody. We got another par frame on the card, and we'll move on to hole 33, which is a 567-foot par 4. Another shorter par 5, another shorter par 5 on the course. However, this does play a little bit longer because the second shot is going pretty high uphill. You'll see, again, another theme here on the west side. You have these tunnel gaps you have to hit off the tee. It's really about placement here. If you can just bite off maybe about 250 to 300 feet, trying to get past those trees up there, you're in position. And you can see Zach, there's a really good drive up the middle, and he'll fade left, but not too hard, and he'll be on the fairway in position to get his birdie.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might be trying to push for the eagle on this hole after the missed short putt on the last one, try to make that stroke back. So we'll see how he plays it as Lance chooses to go up the right side and puts himself in a decent spot.
And Jesse pulled his over to the right. It does open up. The fairway opens up a little bit there on the right side. I couldn't really see if he got through, though. We'll have to see on the next shot.
And Rick trying to get his round back on track after some struggles.
That just looked like an early release.
Yeah, unfortunately, those are going to continue a little bit as he finds the left side rough.
So Jesse did manage to stay on the fairway. He's not going to be able to have it run up, but that's a great effort from a standstill forehand to get him up the fairway.
Rick having to go with a step out forehand. Not trying to bite off a lot of distance, just playing for position. Probably puts it a little close to the right side rough with that considered, but he is out in the open. He'll have a shot.
Yeah, that'll give him a chance to get up and down. And let's see what Zach can do here if he can reach the green. It's like he didn't quite get it high. Oh, he didn't get it high, but wow, he's way past the basket. That was it. I didn't think it had the height, but it certainly had the speed. So he'll have a circle 2 look there on the elevated basket for eagle.
And a very unfortunate kick for Lance. Had that big tree right in front of him and just couldn't get the angle to get around it. He's going to shoot off to the left and be pitching out of the rough here, and he's probably just going to have to put it back out on the fairway. And that's pretty much what he does. A little flick, spike hyzer just to get back into position.
Rick's here on this right side, so I imagine he's going to throw a flippy putter backhand, try to turn the disc to the right, get it going towards that basket. Looks like he's done that, but he's pulled it too far right, and unfortunately that's out of bounds road there. He'll be able to take a meter in, but he'll have a really tricky putt at the elevated basket.
It's kind of one of those that's tough because it was actually a very good throw, just a little unfortunate. It had no B, but he put a nice move on it as Jesse hits a tree that appears to be in deep circle 2.
I think this is still Lance. It looked like the camera was kind of showing us that he stayed in the rough, unfortunately. I don't know if he progressed much, because yeah, he's still trying to have a full throw, and unfortunately he's going to remain in the rough.
Yeah, Lance had been playing well after a rough start, but unfortunately this is going to put some color back on his scorecard, and not the kind that you want.
Yeah, and he's got to go roller there. Hopefully it was a good result. I couldn't tell. I think that may have been Lance again, just pitching up to get under the basket. Yeah. So unfortunately he's going to take a pretty big number here.
And Jesse takes a bit at it, but that was always high out of the hand.
Yeah, you could tell he wanted to give that a little bit of a bid. We'll see. Zach's got this eagle putt here. Let's see if he can connect. Oh, what a bid. Just a little bit high off the band, unfortunately. Luckily, it didn't roll too far, so he should be able to collect his birdie.
We'll see Rick coming back from the out-of-bounds throw and a nice putt up the hill to save his par. Not the worst result, considering how his hole started.
Yeah, for sure. Solid putt by Rick there. This can be nervy after going OB. You really want to make those putts. And Jesse's able to connect there for his par. I will give a shout out to 4 eagles on this hole, unbelievably. Corey Neal, James Kolinsky, Sean Beerley, and Justin Rosak. All 4 collecting an eagle on this hole.
We see the turbo tap in from Lance for his double bogey.
Let's move on. Oh, we're moving on to the leaderboard. I'll do the quick check-in. Justin Rosak with that eagle now takes at minus 13, taking a 5-stroke lead on both Curtis Tibbs and Zachary Tesone. And then you can see kind of falls off a little bit after that, but still a lot of holes left to play for. So let's jump to hole 34, a 497-foot par 4. They did change the basket placement on this recently. As you can see, it's out in the field and there's OB all around it. So you really just want to get your drive out past the initial trees on the fairway and then throw a really controlled shot at this basket with likely a putter because of the downhill slope, just so you can check up a little early. And we'll see Zach maybe making a play for the eagle. It looked like he was throwing a higher speed disc to try to get down there. I didn't really see it finish, unfortunately.
Jesse lines up his drive. Still no blue on the scorecard in the last 9. He's going to hope to change that here, although it's a tough one to do it on. But he does find his way out of the gap pretty well, and it does kick back in bounds off the road. So really nice break there from Jesse, and he should have a pretty good look at the up and down for birdie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know playing this tee pad, you cannot see that, so he'll have no idea that he was that close to going out of bounds, I think. And Rick playing really good positional golf, getting around those trees. He'll have maybe left with about 300 feet, 280 to 300 feet from there to get up and down.
Lance putting a bit more on his. Unfortunately, that's going to find potentially the Kia there.
I was going to say, hopefully not my car. Yeah, that's just he's trying to go big there and maybe look for an eagle bid. Fortunately, riding out the right side the whole way OB. And Zach, isn't it? I guess he caught it. He caught an early tree, unfortunately. So he's going to play positional golf. He got really close to the OB. You can see the flags over there on the left, but he's safe.
And here's Rick trying to get back into the birdies as well. It was real high and wide for a close shot, but he gets it right where he needs it, and he should have a pretty easy birdie tap in.
I like that play from Rick. You can hang it out over the OB a little. You're probably going to get a little bit of skip on the road if you're throwing an overstable disc, and you'll see it here too. Another really good shot over the OB. So we'll have likely a couple of tap-in birdies there.
Yeah, that's big for a couple of guys who hadn't birdied in a while. Coming down the back stretch, only a couple holes left to play. You really want to take something positive at the end of round 1, heading into round 2. So it'll be a big help to them.
Tough putt for Zach to run here with the OB immediately behind the basket. Yeah, I don't blame him for laying up. That's a tough putt. You don't want to take an OB stroke unnecessarily back there. Just take your par and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. As Lance taps in here, it's one of those that you're not thrilled to get the par, but you really don't want to cause a 2-stroke swing, trying to put that birdie in from distance and getting the OB stroke.
This played as the third easiest hole, averaging 0.36 strokes under par. So a lot of people able to pick up the birdie on this one, including 2 on our card here.
Yeah, Jesse and Rick getting back on track. And that's a nice way to do it, with a nice easy tap in. Sometimes it's better to work for it, gets you going. Sometimes you just want to drop it in and be happy.
Absolutely. So brand new hole 35, completely reworked, the 482-foot par 4. There's a Mando tree on the left and OB really just kind of surrounding the fairway. It's really a 2-shot hole. You kind of want to just get around the Mando where those players you saw in the background are right there. You kind of want to place your disc and then have a manageable upshot to the basket, again with the basket having lots of OB marked by the tall grass. And we'll see Jesse here. He kind of got over on this to the right side. He's going to be probably in position where he might have a decision whether or not he wants to go for the green from there. You definitely want to be more left, though.
As we see Rick go up the middle here, fading out a little bit left, but it looks like he is going to still, get around that Mando. He's a good shot there from Rick.
Yeah, you have to be careful throwing a shot close to that Mando, not just because of the Mando, but there's OB all around that left side. And we'll see what Zach's going to try to do if he wants to try and make the corner. It looks like he's going to try to power Hyzer around the corner. And unfortunately, it looked like he made the Mando, but just went on that left side OB. He hugged it a little bit too close.
His lance goes up into the sky here and really hangs it out wide, does a good job of making sure he's nowhere near that Mando, turns the corner a little bit and plays a very nice shot.
Yeah, that's position A right there. If you could walk up and place your disc, I think a lot of players would take that. You can see Jesse, unfortunately, is left with a bit of distance, so he's got to go pretty power. He's trying to get to the green, but he's going to connect with the tree. It looked like he stayed inbounds, though, at the very least.
We'll see what Zach does here to try to save his par. He's going to need a real good approach. Getting around the trees there, and does just that, gives himself a nice little 18-footer to save his par.
Great shot. It checked up just before the tall grass OB. You can see Rick made the corner here, so he's going to be with a great upshot, just tapping in there. Fantastic upshot from Rick. Really well done playing the hole there.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be one of those days for Rick. Great start, great finish, just a little iffy in between.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he was on the drop zone. I think he was just kind of taking his meter off the OB. And Jesse left a little bit of meat on the bone there. He's going to have to really earn this par here. Solid putt by Jesse. Good par save, all things considered.
So we see Zach walking up to try to save his par from about mid C1. He did just have a miss from pretty much this distance a few holes ago, so we'll see if that's playing in his mind at all. Not on that one. He tucks it in left side. Chains did a nice job catching that one for him.
Yeah, solid par putt, par save after going OB there. Definitely not what he wanted, but at least no damage done. Good putt there by Lance. Carding the birdie. Played the hole to perfection. Didn't bite off a ton of distance on the tee shot. Got to a really good spot. Made a really good upshot. Collected the birdie. And Rick did not go out of bounds, so he did collect a birdie as well. So Rick played that hole well as well.
Got to give a quick shout out to Curtis Tays with an eagle on that hole. I'm not sure if it was a throw-in or a really powered drive, but managed to be the only two of the day.
Yeah, fantastic. He'll be looking to close out his round as well. So we're getting to the very last hole on the west side, hole 36, 900-foot par 5. They did push the tee pad back, so it's playing a lot longer now as a par 5. And there's OB all left and right side, marked by the tall grass and the woods. And there's actually an island that the basket finishes on. So you have to make sure you're in a position where you can get onto the island from wherever you're throwing your upshot. So we'll see how these guys play it. They're probably going to try and bite off quite a bit of distance if they want to go for birdie. So Rick is going to throw, looks like Hyzer flip something out to the middle. That's a really good position shot. He may be in position where he can get birdie. You have to bite off quite a bit of distance. This was the most difficult hole on the course.
And Lance is showing why there. Even though it's open, you still do have the OB that gets in your head a little bit. The hole playing a little over a stroke over par. So definitely a very tough finishing hole. Going to make things interesting.
Yeah, definitely by far the most difficult hole on this course. We'll see Jesse's trying to go big here, throwing a big flex turnover. Hopefully it pans back out. Oh, he got way down there, but unfortunately it just held over. So he's going to be OB, but he did bite off quite a bit of distance. So hopefully he'll be able to save at least a bogey from there.
Yeah, it looked like a good line. I think it was just a bit too flippy of a disc. Kind of kept turning down the hill a little more than he obviously wanted. As we see Zach power one out into the middle of the fairway there, he's going to be real happy with that.
Absolutely. Best of the bunch. So we'll see. Oh, Lance is trying to go over the OB here and trying to hit a skinny fairway. And unfortunately, he just overcooks it and it goes long into the woods OB. He bit off a lot of distance, but that's not going to be 2 OB strokes, unfortunately.
Yeah, sometimes players just slightly misjudge when you have that hill slope that the disc is going to really hold the turn, and that looked like what happened there. It just never really wanted to fight out of it, as we see Jesse recover with what looked to be kind of a placement shot. Didn't look like he was putting full power on that one after going OB on the first.
Let's see what Rick's left with here. He's got to hit this skinny fairway, and he cut it off a little bit, but luckily it was short and didn't go OB. Be tough to get up and down for birdie from there, and we'll see how aggressive Rick wants to be.
Zach in great position here. And again, it looks like not a full power shot, just playing for some placement, getting right to the mouth of that small gap there, and it looks like he did pretty much what he wanted to do on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we'll see what Rick and Zach have left to try and make the island. See if Rick's going to go for it. Oh, I think he wanted more flip out of that, and it looked like it went OB, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it just got caught up in the corner. Just didn't get the height he needed. And then Lance coming out, and unfortunately going to suffer his third out-of-bounds stroke of the hole. Like we said, very, very tough finishing hole for the West Side course.
Yeah, they moved it back and gave you an extra stroke, but it's just still playing as a really difficult hole. And Jesse, there's a little bit of a cut roll there, but he's fine. He's in a good spot there. He'll minimize the damage at least.
Yeah, the way he released that one, I'm wondering if it was actually supposed to be like a real high roller, and it just came down on a little more of a cut roller angle than he wanted, because he did look like he forced that one over pretty far.
And there's a good recovery shot there from Lance. And now let's see what Zach's going to go for the green here. It looks like he is. He's playing a power shot, power hyzer. And he absolutely played this hole to perfection. You can't play it much better than that.
Yeah, just being on the island after 3 shots with your chance for a birdie, you're going to be happy, let alone being kind of inside the bullseye. He looked like he was probably about 6-7 feet away there. And a great shot from Rick to follow it up.
And Jesse has a long, probably circle 3 bid. And he's just going to want to pitch up there and tap it in. Good placement.
And Lance with only, I believe, his 5th shot of the round, or his 5th throw of the hole, rather. But those 3 OB strokes are going to, unfortunately, lead to a big number.
And unfortunately, that's probably going to cost him position in the field. And Jesse makes a quality putt there. Bogey's not bad at all. Again, it played well over a stroke for the whole field. So Jesse played that hole fine.
Yeah, you're pretty much matching the field with that one. You're going to lose strokes on the leaders, but you're not going to really lose any strokes on the field overall, especially with where Jesse's at now, kind of in the middle of the pack, as Zach is going to find the low pocket of the basket on that one, sneak it just over the metal, and get his birdie to end the day.
Yeah, that's a fantastic way to end your round, especially now at -9. Certainly looking to be on lead card for the second and final round. And Lance will tap in there, unfortunately, for a 9, and Rick will take a bogey. And it looks like the other 3 competitors will be over par, but looking to bet back in the mix on the east side next round.
Let's take a look here at how our card finished up. Zach Tesone is the only one under par, with Jesse, Rick, and Lance coming in at 2, 3, and 6 over, respectively. We can take a look here and see what that does to the overall leaderboard. Zach kind of right up in the running in 3rd place at 9 down, but Justin Rozak with a 1044 rated 13 under, leading the way. Curtis Taves with an 11 under. That is your current podium. Obviously have a whole nother round to go. Bo Lee will be rounding out the lead card for round 2. Brett, any final thoughts on the round?
Just some really scorching hot rounds there. Lead card's going to be in position really to almost get 20 under par going into the east side. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and make sure to check out round 2 to finish up version 31.24 of the YETTER. We're going to be headed over to the east side. Make sure to subscribe to HyzerMedia for all your disc golf content, and we will see you guys for round 2.